The penultimate game of the day is upon us, ladies and gentlemen. Game 6 is just around the corner. Everyone is still in contention. Everyone is still looking to pick up that W. But before we get into our next game, we wanted to catch up with a couple of the players who a lot of us have been talking about on the desk before things got underway today. We're talking about Katowice and we're talking about Nero. We spoke to them before the action kicked off today, so let's see what these guys had to say.
Fortnite'a zacząłem grać zupełnie z przypadku. Na sam początek koledzy mówili, że jest nowa, fajna, darmowa gierka i zdecydowanie nie chciałem jej spróbować. Ale gdzieś minął kolejny miesiąc, trafiłem przez przypadek na stream Ninja, no i właśnie przez to gdzieś zaciągnęli mnie do tej gry, spróbowałem i zostałem na zawsze.
Zawsze mnie kręciły Battle Royale i to, że można sobie wygrać jako jedyna osoba na serwerze. Nie podobały mi się inne tytuły Battle Royale i jakoś Fortnite mnie wciągnął dlatego, że właśnie był ten aspekt budowania.
Od samego początku, kiedy poznałem Katowice'ego, to on grał już na wyższym poziomie, wciągnął mnie do tego, zacząłem jako rezerwowy drużyny, w której on na tamten czas grał, później skleiliśmy do tego jeszcze dwójkę polskich zawodników i tak drużyną graliśmy już profesjonalnie, można powiedzieć. Szukaliśmy od razu organizacji, organizacja szybko się znalazła, w turniejach mieliśmy bardzo dobre wyniki, wiedzieliśmy, że to jest ten moment. Nasz styl gry bardzo trudno opisać, jest bardzo elastyczny, często zmieniamy to, co robimy, zmieniamy nasze podejście nawet z gry na grę. Naszym największym atutem jest zdecydowanie to, że znamy się od bardzo długiego czasu, trzymamy się razem i jesteśmy silni mentalnie, nie stresujemy się i jesteśmy w stanie się wspierać nawet w najbardziej tiltujących momentach. Najważniejszy aspekt Fortnite'a według mnie to coś, co ogólnie gracze nazywają game sensem. No i generalnie taktyka, to jest mega ważne. W drugiej kolejności powiedziałbym, że budowanie, strzelanie, można sobie bez tego poradzić, ale oczywiście warto je mieć.
Great to hear from those two gentlemen who have, they're still in contention as the day rolls on, and they're going to be looking to pick up a victory royale to really put themselves into contention towards the end of the day. But before we talk about the interview, I need to introduce two new fantastic faces to the desk. I know you two guys have been chomping at the bit to get onto the desk. Speedy Gonzalez, Martin Creek, we'll start off with you, Speedy. What have you been doing back there, buddy? Where have you been all my life?
I've been around. First time meeting you. Glad to be here in Katowice. Such a wonderful place. They've been treating me extremely kindly, extremely well. And I gotta say, one of the most beautiful crowds I've ever been in.
Hey, look at you, pandering to the crowd already. He's a man after my own heart. Anyway, Martin Creek, obviously we saw you earlier. You were lucky enough to meet Adam Savage and spend some time with him. You look a little bit like you might be related, to be honest with you, two of you. But how have you been up to, what have you been up to, mate? How have you been enjoying the action so far today?
The action's been great. I've been watching behind the scenes, watching all the games, and it's been amazing. And the people here, like, people in Poland are super friendly. I'm just amazed.
Okay, well, let's talk about that interview a little bit. Katowice and Nero, two players who have had some pretty solid performances today. Nothing outstanding is yet to write home about. Haven't managed to pick up that victory royale, so to speak. But I love the story of how those guys got into Fortnite. It was almost like we were listening to Bob Ross talk at one point. It was just happy accident after happy accident, and there we go. Now they're here, they're in Katowice, and they're competing for a heck of a lot of money.
Yeah, so they were friends before they got into the game, right? And they're still sticking together, so that's always nice to hear. I myself got dragged into Fortnite through friends, and at first I was like, same kind of feeling like they have, like, oh, I'm not really gonna like it probably, but then it just grew on me, and it's my favorite game. Love it.
Here we go then. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the last game, because I know that you have a very analytical mind for Fortnite. You love breaking things down on that technical level. You were super impressed with that final play towards the end. Just break it down a little bit more for us.
Absolutely. I mean, the odds were against Realkai by any measure, right? Duo, still alive on the high ground. High ground usually wins endgame, 2v1 situation. But Realkai managed to turn that around with a minigun, which you hardly ever see in an endgame situation. So as soon as the team on high ground decided, all right, there's one guy left, we're going to drop down. And they decided to, unfortunately it was a mistake, and Realkai ended up cleaning up with fall damage.
Well, here we go then, gentlemen. Game 6 is underway. It's your first time in the booth. I hope you have a good time. Bring it home.
All right, so let's step into game number 6. We have 2 more games to go. This being one of them. And looks like here in Pleasant, we do have 3 teams already. Just a little bit of a standoff. We do have a guy over there in the middle as well, but Pleasant is this kind of place where you have a really open area in the middle and houses all around. So you normally get a bunch of stand-ups.
Absolutely. Definitely not enough loot for 3 teams, but here we are in Frosty Flights with Venox. It looks like there's 4 teams here. Definitely not enough, loot to go around for 4 teams. So they're either gonna have to, take a plane out of here, try to reposition, or clean out some of these teams.
Like Kako tried to use the Stormwing right there to reposition himself, get a bit closer. But we see Vilku here with a pump and a golden SMG. So
it's definitely an ideal loadout to have, early game.
Yeah.
You have your pump to get that chunk damage. You got a gold SMG to follow up with. You have your duo backing you up from the high ground up there on that top ledge. And you definitely want to be communicating at all points here, trying to find enemies, trying to isolate them, making sure you're tracking them as well as possible.
Looks like they're just trying to take their sweet little time here, getting mats before the inevitable happens. They will either go away from each other, or we'll have a little skirmish on their hands. Here we have Tilted. Look at this. Some bottle rockets.
Bottle rockets coming in. Not quite sure what they're trying to target. Not really doing much damage to anything around. Maybe just kind of a distraction, some sound pollution to distract enemies around the area. Make them think twice before pushing them here in basketball court.
That's right. We did see Yargi here. He did have a lot of explodes in his inventory already. Clingers. He did have some stinkies as well. Moving over to Sebas, he also has some clingers.
Over here in Snobby Shore, Gumlag throwing down the dynamite, but it looks like we're going to pop back over here to Zero Pog, who had his entire first floor of the building destroyed. Another dynamite coming on in, trying to find them. The pump going off. Clinger coming on down. Waiting to clear the area, getting tagged. Less than 50 HP remaining on Leon.
So at this point, you want support from your teammate, just trying to attack from 2 different sides. Looks like both teams are taking quite some damage here.
Gumluck remaining on the high ground, getting chunked from a low ground pump. The SMG, and he jumps in to clean the kill.
Beautiful, and that's super important. Now they have Snobby all to themselves, and there's a lot of loot there. You can take your sweet time, get some materials.
That's right, and they're not too far away from zone, so they cleaned up an elimination. That's 2 elimination points on the board, 10 total in this format, and they'll be able to rotate in safely and easily after they loot up Snobby.
You have a build battle going on here over at... where are we? Okay, we have
Sumaro maintaining the high ground here, trying to find his opponents. The Clinger is going on in, going to knock down that high ground as soon as they explode. High ground being knocked down all the way. Some fall damage being taken by Sumaro. The redeploy to reposition, trying to re-engage. He knows that his opponent's weak. He's trying to clean him up. 9 HP remaining, and he goes down.
All right, we have a 2 versus 1 now on our hands, so it looks like they will want to clean this up as fast as possible so they can be on their merry way onto their zone. The zone is going to start moving in 30 seconds, so they aren't really that stressed, but you still want to finish up the fight as fast
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a 2v1 situation here. It's looking really bad. It's a side pinch, 2 different angles, the wall replaced, the tack shotgun, tack attack. Cleans up the kill.
Very nicely executed. And that's what I like. When you have someone boxing themselves in, trying to stay alive and turbo building in one direction, just have your teammate go on the other side of the wall and yeah, like you said.
Absolutely. I like that. I like the fact that they didn't rush in to eliminate that remaining player. They kind of waited to make sure that both players were shielded up before engaging, dropping down, pinching that player on the low ground, cleaning him up nicely.
I agree. Analyzing the situation, making sure they don't fall a bit short, hopping in, one dying after the other, and ultimately losing the fight. But
yeah, in situations like that, you definitely shouldn't be afraid to, slow play, pump the brakes a little bit, assess the situation, and then make the right call, because you don't want to have the opponent turn the tables on you.
And even more action going on here. We have Estero trying to push for high ground versus AGO, Skosas, and Serva. With the miniguns out, we do have a lot already on Ike.
The Stormwing spam coming on in from a third party flying away here. It looks like trying to get the res here, but no pressure coming on in from the opponents.
I'm not sure if they know where they're hiding right now to get the res. That Stormwing must be really annoying. You just really want to hide from it and not make too much noise, although you already do have a knock. But Skosas and Serva, they are making their way up now to try to clean this up. They do realize that El Pestro did get the revive off.
And Kiro over there just circling on back with that Stormwing, trying to get any shield tags that he can, trying to see if anyone's weak. It is a tough situation to be in. You definitely don't want to get into a build fight, especially on top of a mountain, because you do expose yourself to, third parties from Stormwings, or over there by Salty, another third party on the low ground, kind of seeing, hey, what's going on over there?
And I'm pretty sure I did see in Serva's inventory, I did not really see a shotgun. I did see an AR, but not that much ammo. Yeah, as we can see here, Serva only has the hand cannon. He does have the minigun and an AR, but not really what you want at this point of the game.
Absolutely, and both teams, I mean, this is typical of what we've seen all day, right? They kind of push each other a little bit, feel each other out, and then decide to disengage. So the Polish players, definitely an S-key type of playstyle that we've seen all day long.
Yeah, I've noticed they seem to go more for placements rather than eliminations. And yeah, what do you think that is? Is it?
It makes sense when you think about it, right? Well, finish my thought on a little bit, but the Stormwing coming on into Makalele. Another Stormwing pressuring Makalele. Unfortunately, I think he might go down soon if he does not have any shields.
Not too much in his inventory, but they do have the Stormwings. I'm not sure. Makalele.
Really weak. He does end up going down. The Stormwing pilot ends up coming out to finish off Kissy.
That's Dialer and Heisel. They did take that. They did take the fight home. Just picking up all of the mats, all the resources. And can just take it pretty slow now. There are a bunch of teams heading. There is one team heading into Stadium though, and already some existing teams here.
Soccer Stadium is beginning to fill up here. A lot more players starting to rotate on in. Right now in the feed, we see about 4 teams just in this small little plot of area. The bottle rockets coming on in, pressuring Dialer and Heisel. But, not enough range on those bottle rockets to really do much damage here. And everyone's just gonna, carve out their little piece of land and chill for a little bit.
They do have quite a journey ahead of them, as a lot of teams have to make their way from the northwest side of the map all the way down to Shifty Hamlet, where the circle currently is in the next one.
Absolutely. So previously I was talking about the Polish playstyle, right? So when you think about it, this format really incentivizes, eliminations, but these players have been practicing placement-style tournaments, placement-style scrims for months and months on end. All of a sudden, this format that rewards those eliminations comes around. These players, this is a different format than they're used to practicing, so they're not going to use that W key to their advantage, especially like the first 4 games. But we're starting to see it now in Game 6 a lot more.
Yeah, they do what you do best. Stick to what you know, right? And looking at Gris's inventory, it does have a Portal Rift. The first one I see here, we do have a little skirmish going on outside Greasy with Exime trying to push in with some dynamite.
Exime taking the high ground, making sure that he used those dynamites to maintain the high ground in the first place. The cone ends up misplacing a cone and taking mid ground, but he still has control of the high ground here. Ends up going...
And then Denor going down, so we do have a 2 versus 1 on our hands, I believe. I think that was the first elimination here, or knock.
Yes, Denor is down and knocked. Now it's a 2v1 against Emmer. Emmer holding the high ground, knowing that he is a solo, trying to maintain any piece of advantage that he can hold on to. But the third party's coming on in from range, the cleaner coming on in from the mountain. Emmer not really worrying too much about the mountain. The other team ended up rotating away. He has a time and a moment to catch his breath.
Looks like he does have some bandages on his hands, but not really any shields by the look of it. Zeba's trying to get some harass going on here with on Exime.
And Zema is so low here. Any shot from one of these ARs can take him down, and he's a little bit split from his teammate. And Sheer possibly yelling out to his teammate, this guy's on white health. We need to push this guy. He's really weak before he heals.
And these players do have to move into zone as well. They do have, as I mentioned, quite a journey from Stadium. They're almost halfway there. We've seen multiple teams approaching from this direction. So the problem here when you reach the zone is that you'll have people trying to stop you from entering the zone. But zone guarding, so to say.
Absolutely. Here in Shifty Shafts, we have about 7 teams around the area. This is going to get really crowded really fast. And Cbus not really giving that enemy team time to breathe, jumping on in with a pump, cleaning up Dioxide. One player remaining to clean him up, and his teammate goes on in. The wall replace attempt and ends up cleaning up Zyme.
So I'm not sure if you saw, but on the right-hand side of the screen, you could see the Storm Surge had been activated. So the threshold for the current Storm Surge is 260. That means that every player needs to deal at least 260 damage before they start taking damage over time.
Absolutely. In those first 4 games, we saw that there was about 70 or 80 players when the half zone first appeared. Last game, we had 50. So that is quite a difference, you know, in the end game. Definitely giving some of those players more real estate to maneuver in the end game rotations.
Oh, beautiful hits on Livestar there. Goes down, tries to make his way down the mountain while knocked. Not sure if his teammate can make it there to rest him in time.
Zeke coming on in, maintaining that pressure. He knows he's weak. He knows he didn't have shields when he got that tag.
Icefire here with a sniper and a gray AR.
Livestar's still down there, you know, waiting for res, but his teammate's nowhere to be found. He's probably going to go down here any moment now. Free loot for Poverty and Zeke.
Poverty and Zeke making their way slowly down the mountain to finish up the elimination here and just pick up the resources and be on their little merry way.
Absolutely. The RPG coming on in with Smiley. He did get chunked. Fortunately, RPGs are one of those things that you don't really want, you know, to be faced up against.
Yeah, really hard to counter. Along together with a heavy sniper, the RPG is my worst nightmare at least.
Absolutely. We do have a nice change in the meta recently because Deagle RPG used to be extremely overwhelming in the end game, but now we see players, you know, RPG heavy sniper.
Yeah, that combo is ruthless. At least we don't see too many, we can't really see too many of those combos right now, as they are pretty rare. A lot of people going down here, as I could see in the action feed on the left-hand side.
Smiley, unfortunately, is solo deciding to disengage down there on the lower right. Famin trying to see what's going on.
Bobik here, switching back over into Shifty again. See Sajiman on the edge of zone here, pretty low on health.
This is going to be a really tight revive, and he does end up getting it off.
Do, however, have the launch pad, so they can just make their way in and should take the time. They are, however, pretty low, so I'm not quite sure how they will recover from that unless they have any sorts of heals.
That's right. Here we are in zone number 3, 65 players remaining.
And the zone, we see a rift used up there. The zone is slowly making its way in. We have a lot of teams on the north-hand side, so this will be really interesting to see if a lot of people try to guard the edge of the zone and just make their way into the middle.
So this is going to be a tough zone for players to pick a position on. There's a really high change of elevation here. There's a really tall mountain that the zone can go over or just go off of. So picking a nice spot, maybe on the side of the mountain, is going to be crucial here.
And we've seen players struggling with it in the previous game. In game number 3, we did have the zone go all the way up to the Viking Mountain, and we had about 20 players or something get just eliminated by the zone.
That's absolutely right. When those zones go up a mountain, it is one of the most difficult rotations that you could do if you do not have a rift. You definitely want a rift going into endgame if you can.
We see the zone here being really close to making its way into the final position here. And it seems like most teams manage to get inside, but that doesn't mean that there won't be any action. Look at this, just bullets flying everywhere.
Looks like everyone's getting settled on in here. Poverty end up getting his shields taking off on the bottom left. He needs to shield up as soon as possible. Ends up going down. That wasn't his wall.
Oh, so do you think that was an edit kill? But looks, oh, he gets finished as well.
Absolutely. He ended up turtling right next to that brick and ended up paying for that. You need to have situational awareness at all moments to avoid a situation like that.
Yeah, in this situation, you just want to get out of the middle of all these players, of all this positioning, and try to make your way away from, try to make your way out of there as fast as you can before you have these teams starting to target you. As soon as you have 2 teams targeting you, you'll just have all the teams that target you as well, right?
Hashtag our first game winner. No shields to his name. About 50 HP remaining. His duo is alive. The RPG's coming on in, and Taboo ends up going down to an RPG.
They did have a campfire in there, but that goes down to the RPG as well.
Hashtag trying to get his duo inside of a safe box. Another RPG coming on in to pressure them.
Heading over to the
Trying to get the revive off. But the spam is pressuring them. He might have a moment to breathe here. It looks like he stopped getting focused for the moment. He is going to be able to get Taboo off if they can't find him. But the minigun spray coming on in.
This is not what you want to hear when you're trying to pick your buddy up. Just a minigun with 500 ammo. He can keep this up forever.
You're just trying to maintain your, your wall, making sure it doesn't go down, making sure that no bullets touch your teammate. You're just trying to build your teammate as far away from these people that are spamming your walls as possible.
We have a device right above, but he probably doesn't realize that someone is
Another
not right
RPG coming on in, not connecting with the build, and Taboo ends up getting revived.
Looks like they won't give up here. They keep on spraying. They really want this, these eliminations. As you know, eliminations are 5 points per elimination, so every elimination
Absolutely,
counts.
and Smiley has 71 HP, no shields. This elimination could mean some health and shield to his name, but unfortunately both duos are up. They can't defend themselves better, and his teammate ends up going down because they were so focused on Taboo. They weren't paying attention to their sides, their back. Now they're going to be the ones that are getting pressured. Now the tables have turned.
The tables have turned indeed. Oh, looks like, I don't know who it was, but he got taken out.
Did he get
right
sniped?
outside. I think he got sniped right outside, so that was sort of a freebie for Taboo and Hashtag.
That's the best case scenario you could have had for Smiley. His teammate went down, he was getting pressured, and someone took care of that opponent for him.
That's right, and look at this zone. We have a lot of players still in the game.
The Sting's coming on in, applying pressure. They need to get out of that box. They still haven't had a moment to breathe. They revived his teammate. Smiley ends up going down. This is karma for applying so much pressure to Hashtag and Taboo.
They were staying there for quite some time, applying pressure over at Hashtag, and they just took a bit too long time before they started rotating.
So now Hashtag pushing on in for that loot.
We only have 5 seconds until the next zone starts to move, and there are still a lot of teams on the outside of the actual next zone. But as we can see on the minimap, there's a bunch of people are flying in. You can see people moving really fast.
As far as half zones go for this particular circle, this isn't too bad. The majority of it is on the low ground. A little sliver of it is on the mountain. So overall, not too bad of a rotation for most of the people in the lobby.
An issue though will be, we see some people very high up on the high ground, and they will be the main issue for the rotating players. But they might be occupied with the other players on high ground. As I saw, there was at least 5 teams up there.
Absolutely. Jachu still alive on the high ground here. He was our second place in game number 3, I believe.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And maintaining the high ground, especially on a zone like this, is going to be crucial. You never know where the zone's going to go. You definitely don't want it to go off the high ground into the valley and then back up the mountain. You always want to be on the high ground unless you have a rift.
Yeah, that's right. And it looks like it's heading pretty far east, just straight east. I'm not sure if there's a mountain over there, but
we are going to head east towards the river for this zone.
We have about 15 seconds while these players can make up their mind. How are we going to rotate? We're pretty high up high ground. Will we have to make our way down before we rotate, or
Mundo down there, a solo with about 30 HP to his name. If he get hit with one more bullet, he is out of there. Put down the launch pad and said, "See you guys later."
Looks like Yaku and decide to launch away as well.
The launch pad's coming on, and everyone putting down their launch pad or recycling someone else's. Great for mobility here. This is a really far rotation for everyone involved, especially for the people that were up on the mountain. They have a long way to go.
A lot of rifts going off. We do see a lot of players just flying over, but this is still on the edge of a mountain or a hillside, if you will.
Absolutely. This is the first moving zone. 33 players still remaining. This is a very populated lobby. 20 teams are still alive.
And here is again with the minigun. Switching over to Sebel, still does have that pump and a hand cannon, so he could work some magic on, when we arrive at the end game.
Absolutely. It looks like everyone's making their way into the zone now, kind of settling on in. No more crazy rotation fights, just kind of waiting and seeing what happens with the next circle.
Just look at all these players and all these different levels of structures. This
Players
there's
are going down left and right all over the area, and it looks like the zone's going to continue moving down south towards the river.
Sajimon going down there by the RPG. It's just ruthless.
Yeah.
They do have the high ground here. Jable, like I mentioned, he does have the pump and a hand cannon, so they can work some magic. They will just continue utilizing
Absolutely,
this high ground.
Zebel maintaining the high ground, but here was Markov's redeploy coming in clutch to get him off of that mid ground and a nice spot on the low ground. But he does end up getting pumped as soon as he touches the ground. Ends up going down to ultimate low ground, trying to find a kill here with his shotgun. A low ground battle, and it looks like he decided to disengage a little
Only
bit
10
there.
players remaining now. They still have the high ground up here, making their way slowly into the next circle. It looks like it's moving all the way over the river, further out east.
Absolutely, and it looks like we have about 7 players remaining, 6 teams, top 10 situation. And the low ground's only 3 levels high. No one's really contesting.
Oh, Skolstad's going down. We see there's only 4 players remaining now. We usually see a lot more people in this circle. But
It's-
I believe we do have a 2 versus 1 versus 1.
Is Jachu and his duo 2v1v1. They maintain the high ground here, trying to get those angles. The low ground fighting each other.
Oh.
Meanwhile, there's a duo on the high ground coming on in to get the kill.
Nicely done.
Nice.
Beautiful. That was intense.
That was intense.
Not quite the amount of players that we usually see by the end of that zone, but
So in terms of a rotation for this was probably the best case scenario for most of these players on the low ground. You didn't want the circle to go on high ground and catch yourself unprepared.
Gentlemen, game number 6. It's in the books. Surprise, surprise, we have yet another winner. That's 6 different games, 6 different duos winning, picking up the victory royale, we should say. Jaichu and J-Bol there, I mean, what was so good about their end game? They seem to just be the only ones who managed to keep their duo alive.
Absolutely. So Jachu ended up going down in game number 2, right? He ended up getting second. In this game, game number 6, making a statement. We can, clutch up the end game. We have the ability. We are a team to be reckoned with.
So they've obviously put themselves in a very good position with just one more game to go, gentlemen. Now the pressure is going to be on some of these other teams. Obviously, they're going to be looking at those points tallies and trying to work out exactly where they're standing, etc. We talked about how first game of the day, you're always a little bit nervous. You're getting used to sort of a new environment and you're getting used to the feel of things, the stage, etc. Now it's just all about in-game performance. All the pressure and the lights of everything, that kind of goes away. Now it's just about picking up the win. It's doing what you have to do to put yourself in contention. How does that feel as a player, being sat in that situation now? Firstly, knowing that you have the game in your hand, or secondly, knowing you're going to have to put up a monster game to have any chance of picking up that win?
well, as you said, at this point, I do believe the players they're settled in. There's not a lot of nerves right now, but they could spark back up again in the last game, as a lot's on the stake here. And yeah, as you said, we only have one more game to go. So yeah.
Nervous? Do you reckon the players are nervous right now? I think the guys are obviously going to be very excited that they've picked up the win, but there's a lot of players, have we seen, that are all still in contention to pick up the victory today in the duos. Is it a case now of experience coming into the play for a few of these players?
You know, it's almost like riding a bicycle, right? These guys have been doing scrims every single day for months. They've been in the same lobby, pressing play for months, right? All that's changed is the locale, the location, which is, you know, this tournament, Tomato Temple. You know, we pulled them outside of their home and we put them on a different desk. That's the only thing that's changed. They're in front of a crowd, yeah, but as soon as you hit that play button, you're in the zone.
It's almost you can psych yourself out before you press that play button for a lot of people, isn't it? It takes it can be that little few seconds at the start of the game, the early game, where you're still sort of thinking, oh my God, like here we are in Katowice, look at the stage, look at the people watching me. And that can throw you off for a little bit. But as you say, once you get into the game, you get that flow.
That's when just melt away.
That's when you forget about it, isn't it?
Yep.
Well, we're going to actually go down to Adam on the floor with the two guys who just picked up the last victory royale in our game number 6. It is J2 and J-Bol.
Thank you, Marky. I'm here with Yeku and J-Bol, as you mentioned, our winners of Game 6. First and foremost, how do you feel? Yaku, you were our winner. You must feel amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. Can be, yeah.
I mean, winning a game here at the Katowice Royale, J-Bol, it feels like $1 million. Surely, you feel really good.
Yeah, it's really good, but I don't know how to say. It's amazing.
You never know. The points, I mean, we're getting very close now. One game left, but with a victory royale, you could go really far here, guys. Can you tell us about the end of the game and how you won that?
We don't have bullets for M4 and we have heavy snipe. We broke one floor and we killed last guy.
Well, he have materials and bullets, and we have lucky.
It wasn't just luck, it was great gameplay too. Congratulations, well done. One more game to go in this Katowice Royale. We cannot wait to see what happens in the next duos match. For now, we must go to a break, but we'll see you in just a bit.